Welcome friends, myself Dr. Shashibhushan, and today we are going to discuss the topic of depression. Depression is such a common illness now that we generally don't understand who are suffering from depressions. Okay, so we will try to understand how depression presents. The presentation in different age groups varies, and many a times the person is saying, informing us that I am depressed, but we are not able to recognize that he may be depressed because we are not aware of the symptoms, the signs that he may be going through, and we are not able to observe those symptoms. So, first of all, we will understand how this presents in an old age person. Let us suppose that there is an 70 years male who had been doing very good till 65, 66 years of age, and for last 3 to 4 years he is not feeling well. He avoids social gatherings. Till 65 years, he was doing very good. He was maintaining good social relationship. He was doing good at his job, and even in family functions, he was having a very good social interaction. But few years back, maybe someone was diagnosed in his family with some severe illness, maybe a cancer. And along with that, he heard a news of someone's death in his friend's circle. So after those news and after this illness news, he got he started behaving differently. He avoided social gatherings. He avoided the persons he used to meet. His sleep became disturbed. Okay, and he may not feel so good all the time. He may keep brooding most of the time. So this may be a symptom of depression. Now, but this old man, he will say that I am just getting old. What is wrong in that? I may not behave in the way I used to behave 10 years back, but we have to be very cautious because this old man is really suffering from depression, because the way of thinking of this old man has changed as compared to when he was behaving in a better way. Now he feels that everyone in my age group is dying. So I am off. So I am also going to die. So future looks very pessimistic to him. Also, he feels worthless because he doesn't find any worth of himself in his family, and that is why he has avoided social interaction or family gatherings. So we should be cautious in understanding that this old man may be suffering from depression. Now let us take a case of a young lady. Let us assume it as 35 years old lady. She may be presenting with multiple episodes of depression. If you ask her if there is any history of sexual abuse, maybe there can be a history of sexual abuse. If you ask further, she may even tell that she gets suicide impulses, and even she might have attempted few times, because there has been a history of sexual abuse at an early age by some of his relatives. What is her mindset is that I am bad, and that is why I was abused or I was treated badly with my by my relatives. So she has an image of self-negativity. Also, she doesn't trust the person of any relationships. So her lives become disrupted. As she grows older, even her relationship with husband or with her children is slightly strained. Even if she is a working woman, there also she may find some difficulty in doing some work. And there is always impulsive behavior maybe in her character, and that is why there is a danger of losing job. Now, how to relate that she is feeling depressed? Because this has been a continuous thing. Okay, in old age person he was maintaining well till 65, and now few stressors came and then he became depressed. In this young lady, it was not a exposure of few years. It was an exposure since childhood. Since childhood, many stressors attacked her, and because of that, her belief system, her core beliefs were like, I am useless, I am worthless, I am unlovable, and that is why she had a core belief which exposed her or which made her more vulnerable for depression. Similarly, there can be a different presentation of depression. Like, suppose there is a young male who is working very fine at his office and he gets too much reward also for that. However, underneath he is depressed. How to find it out? If you go into his childhood, a sense of worthlessness is there. Why? Because even if he performs very good in his studies or in his games, the pressure from his family or from his teacher is that you have to be the number one. Now, since he comes number two or number three, and his peers who are getting number one position, so he may be having a sense of worthlessness. That worthlessness, even after doing very good, he gives rise to low self-esteem. And when this child gets older, a risk of alcohol use increases. Although he may not be knocked down with this alcohol, but use of alcohol may be there. Along with that, he may always have a self-doubt. Now, since he is having an attitude of perfectionism, so when he becomes husband or a father, he may not be able to fulfill that goal or that role very in a perfect way. So he may be depressed underneath. Now, so we can generalize the depression based on how does it builds over time. It may be building up slowly, it may be building up fastly. What is the impact of depression on your life? It may be mild or it may be severe. How many times you have got depressed? Multiple times? Or has the depression been present throughout your life in the background, like in case of a perfectionist? Now, there is a very common doubt between sadness and depression. Whereas sadness is a healthy thing, depression is unhealthy. How to understand what is sadness? Sadness helps us to understand about events or person which is important in our life. Let us suppose that there is some marriage function going in our society and we are not invited. So we will feel, we will miss that marriage function, and that is why we will become sad. So this mood sadness helps us to understand what are we missing, what events we are missing, what persons we are missing. But if it comes to depression, since we are not invited, so we will feel unlovable, worthless, hopeless. If it goes to this extreme, then we tell that the person is suffering from depression and his life is disrupted. Now, what are the symptoms of depression? The depression has a variety of symptoms. It can be differentiated into four major headings: cognitive symptoms, behavioral symptoms, mood symptoms, and physical symptoms. So, first coming to cognitive symptoms. Here, the person has negative thought about self, negative thought about environment, and negative thought about future. This is a point where we should be very cautious, because if a person becomes hopeless, negative thoughts about future, he stops. He doesn't want to live anymore, because he says that the life is a hell now. What is the worth of living? And he may commit suicide. So hopelessness is a very strong pointer of suicide. Next group of symptoms is behavioral symptoms. Since the person is depressed, he may withdraw from other people. He may participate very less in activities, and he may find a difficulty in starting doing any activity. His biological clock, difficulty sleeping, having food gets decreased, and also he may feel more tired. These are the physical symptoms. And the mood, it may remain less motivated, depressed, sad, irritable, and he may also feel guilty because other persons are suffering because of his mood. Now, how to rate whenever we are taking therapy for depression, or we are simply understanding our depression, it is very important to rate our symptoms of depression. The rating, whenever you rate anything, the mood will fluctuate, the scoring system will fluctuate. It is not unusual. Even when you are taking treatment for depression, the mood will fluctuate. It just reflects that the pattern of recovery experienced by a particular person is in this way. Okay, you should not worry about the fluctuations in the mood. And the rating should be done at least for 6 weeks to conclude that yeah, you are suffering from something. It's, you may rate it weekly or twice monthly. We should understand a few things about the correlation about thoughts and depression. How a depressed person thinks, that's cognitive symptoms. He has negative thoughts about self. He becomes self-critical. He has very low confidence. So if you ask him to do anything, if you ask him to participate in activity, he will say that I will be a failure. Why to do such activity? He will not feel worthful. He will feel worthless. So even his relatives get upset of him. You can, why can't you cook food? Why can't you participate in athletics? But he will have so much negative thoughts about self that he will avoid this kind of activities. He will be negative about environment. So whatever positive things are happening in that environment, he will neglect it. Suppose uh, he gets some prize, he will say that okay, it happens. He may get some proposal from uh, some company about some job, but he will not feel happy for that also. So he becomes pessimistic. He has negative thoughts about environment, and he also feels hopeless. He thinks that I will never get better. Nothing is going to change. So the these thoughts are very common with depression, and we should not understand that the person is behaving like this because he is pretending to be depressed. He is really suffering from an illness, and that is not the person himself. Now, what are the treatments that are available for depression? The first and the best treatment is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. It consists of two parts: behavioral activation for severely depressed and cognitive therapy for mild to moderate depression. The next is medication. There is a lot number of medicines, and we can try, but the good thing about medication is it works, but it works with trial and error, because few medicines may not work upon you, the other medicines of the same group may work upon you. So you have to go for trial and error at least of 2 to 4 weeks. You may have some side effects like dry mouth, drowsiness, weight gain. Even if you are taking medicines, don't feel that you have gone crazy and that is why I am taking medicines. It just signifies that you have a self-help intention. You may need to take medicines for a few years with gradual tapering. And the other treatment is improving relationship. Now let us suppose that you have some problem at in your marriage, in your family, then you may suffer from depression. In that case, we focus on couple therapy, family therapy, and there's a new thing that self-help books. You can read them. That will be also helpful for you. Thank you for listening to me. I hope that the session had been helpful for all of you.